The wide receiver group is very good in the 2026 NFL Draft. The top 3 guys all have number 1 upside, but like in every class, there are always sleepers who end up going down the board that end up developing into number 1 options. One of my favorite prospects in this entire draft class, and a guy who I think is being really underrated, is Georgia State wide receiver Ted Hurst. Hurst is a monster and is a guy who, with his traits and potential, I think has the ability to be a long-term starter and potentially a number 1 option at the next level. In today's video, we're going to talk about Ted Hurst, what I like about his game, and what his upside is for the NFL level. But hey guys, if you guys are new to the channel, consider hitting that like and subscribe button. It helps me out a ton and helps get this video out to more NFL draft fans like yourselves. Comment down below which prospects you guys want to see in a future episode, and without further ado, let's get into it. Ted Hurst has had a very interesting journey for his college football career. He started his career at Valdosta State in 2022 and spent 2 seasons there before entering the transfer portal in 2024. He stayed close to home in Savannah, Georgia, and committed to Georgia State, where over the last 2 seasons, Hurst has been fantastic. In 2024, he finished the season with 56 receptions, 961 yards, and 9 touchdowns on the year. He briefly hit the portal last offseason, and many people thought he was going to transfer to a Power 4 school, but he decided to return to Georgia State and had another fantastic year, finishing with 71 receptions for 999 yards and 6 touchdowns, and is one of the top players to watch at the Senior Bowl this year. The first thing that sticks out when watching Ted Hurst is his tremendous size and athleticism for the wide receiver position. He's listed at 6'3", 195 pounds, and has the frame and length to be a true X at the wide receiver position. I think he is able to use his size well, and he is a very solid contested catch weapon. Throughout his career, Hurst has a 61.1% contested catch rate and is a guy who, with his large catch radius, is a guy who you can throw the ball up and he's going to go make a play. I don't just think Hurst is a big player though. I think he's a very good athlete who has really good speed for his size, and I fully expect him to be a 4.4 athlete at the combine. He has an explosive first step off the line of scrimmage, and he is able to stack defenders vertically and is one of the best deep threats in the entire draft class. I think his ball tracking in the air is phenomenal, and I love what he brings to the table with his speed and size for the NFL level, which is what you look for in a true number 1. As a route runner, I actually think Hurst shows some real upside there. I think he ran a pretty limited route tree at Georgia State, but there are flashes there. I think he is a really quick twitch athlete who is able to stop and go on a dime, and he showed some really good separation skills. Right now, it's all flashes, but there is upside there that really entices me, and I do think he has the ability to separate at all 3 levels of the field, which I think is going to play really well for him at the next level. For as much as I like Ted Hurst, I do think he has some potential limitations and question marks at the next level. For one thing, I think his play strength is a big concern. Against more physical coverage, Hurst really struggled. It's kind of a strange thing because his contested catch rate is so good, but Hurst is not very good against press coverage, as he had a very limited release package, and on top of that, he was easily pushed around by defensive backs. I want to see Hurst add on some muscle. He's 195 pounds, and he is pretty thin for the position. And I'd like to see him play through contact a little bit better, develop a better release package, and show better play strength when going up against press coverage, because I do think that is an area that does limit him right now. The other concern that I have with Ted Hurst are his hands. There are some ugly moments of concentration drops on Hurst's tape, and his hands have been very spotty throughout his collegiate career. For his career, Hurst has a near 10% drop rate, which is something that I want to see get better for him at the next level, and I'd like to see him be more consistent at consistently bringing in catches. Ted Hurst is one of my favorite players in this draft class. The size, athleticism, physicality at the catch point, and deep play upside is so exciting. Yes, he's not played the best competition and has to get stronger, has to be better against press coverage. There's no doubt about that. But I think his tools are worth investing into, and I think they're worth investing into early. Because at the worst case, I think you can have one of the best deep ball targets in all of football. I have Ted Hurst as my number 10 wide receiver in this class and a top 75 grade on him as a prospect. He's a huge my guy, and I think he's going to make an NFL team very happy if they decide to draft him. In terms of a scheme fit, Ted Hurst fits perfectly as that true X boundary receiver. His size, physicality, and speed to challenge defenders deep make him so exciting as that boundary weapon, and I think he's a guy who can elevate your offensive upside. You can work him inside, you can work him outside, he can win to all three levels of the field, he can win contested catches. I think there are a lot of things to really like about what Ted Hurst does, and I think he can develop into being a number one guy at the next level. My player comparison for Ted Hurst is Dallas Cowboys wide receiver George Pickens. Pickens is a freak athlete who is one of the most reliable and best deep ball threats in all of football. He's physical at the catch point, he has good speed, and I think at his best, Hurst has the ability to make the same sort of impact for an NFL team. They have very similar size, they move very similarly in terms of vertically, and I think both of them are better route runners than they get credit for. They're really twitchy, they can make plays after the catch, and I think in the best case scenario, Ted Hurst could be like a George Pickens type of receiver. Ted Hurst has high upside. He's been uber productive for Georgia State, and all of the tools are there for him to be a productive NFL receiver. Yes, he does have question marks that he's going to need to answer, but I'm willing to bet on him early in this draft, and ultimately, I believe that Ted Hurst will be a top 100 pick in the 2026 NFL Draft.